You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marci Persky. Sure, I could tell you what I've learned recently about hospital food, but you will probably be far more entertained by Marci's effort to quit smoking.
This is day 3 of my bad attitude, so welcome to my world.
Why?
Quit smoking again.
You quit smoking?
It's been 72 hours without a cigarette, and it's pretty much all I can think about. The other thing that's pretty much all I can think about is killing people and then eating them. Because then I can get 2 things over at once. I'd get rid of people and I wouldn't be as hungry.
Is that a thing? You quit smoking and you get hungry?
Well, I don't know.
Yes.
I have to do something. I hate to even say this because I know you're going to turn it into something dirty. But when you quit smoking, you have to do something with your mouth.
I have no need to do anything with that statement. I think you did that all by yourself.
My something is just shoving food in nonstop until about 9 o'clock at night when I puke from eating so much crap all day.
This doesn't sound good. And unfortunately, you're moving into Halloween bagged candy season.
So, okay. Here's the controversy in my house. Speaking of Halloween.
Yes.
So we bought this giant bag of candy because it was on sale. I shoved it up in the candy drawer in the closet.
Okay.
We got back yesterday I took Eve to a concert on Monday night in Flagstaff, and we spent the night in an Airbnb. Got home yesterday morning, and all that was left was Kit Kats. It was Kit Kats, Reese's, Almond Joys, and Hershey's. But all that was left in this giant bag was Kit Kats. And Eve said, I'm never leaving my dad alone with a bag of candy again. I'm putting it in the car. So I said to Dad, what happened to all the candy? And he said, I don't know, Eve ate it. So, all I know is that I didn't.
So you're saying that she did a preemptive run at the candy and as a warding off of suspicion gesture, blamed her father before you even had a chance to ask who ate the candy.
Well, kind of, yeah. But she also said, which is almost believable, that if she had eaten the candy, she would have eaten the Kit Kats too, because she likes Kit Kats. Whereas all the Reese's were gone, and that's what her dad really likes. So I don't know. I just know, not me. I'm going to keep my hands out of it because now that I quit smoking, I don't want to become a diabetic. That's what I need is to replace one bad habit with another. But yeah, in the meantime, though, I'm really edgy and antsy and mean and just, I don't know, trying to think of things to do.
Think just like normal. Yeah, you're acting normal.
But I don't smell of smoke.
Well, I'm impressed. I mean, you've done it before for years at a time.
I know. And this time I really have to. I mean, there are so many reasons. Number one being grandchild. This isn't the old days where you can like hold your kid and sing a lullaby with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth.
Oh my gosh.
The good old days.
That's what I remember about the TV series Mad Men was all the social behaviors.
Everybody smoked.
That everybody smoked. They smoked around their kids. And the other one that made a huge impact on me, if you watched Mad Men, and if you didn't, I will describe the scene. The family goes for a roadside picnic in a beautiful meadow. And they spread out their blanket and they have all kinds of food in all kinds of containers because I guess you had bags and you had, I don't even know what all. And at the end of the picnic, they all stand up, they shake out the blanket and all the garbage goes everywhere. And they don't think this is anything odd. And they get in their car and drive off. And
the birds will eat it.
The birds will eat it. I don't ever remember my family ever doing that.
Me either.
But
I don't think we had picnics.
Well, we did because my parents were cheap. So if we went somewhere, they brought a picnic because you didn't buy.
Well, see, my parents just didn't take us anywhere.
Well, there was that. But every now and then.
We were nasty kids.
Every now and then the family would attempt to take some kind of bizarro vacation where, and here's what I've learned. if you can't afford to do it in a way that's actually relaxing, skip it. Like if you rent, for example, because you don't know how to camp, but you can't afford or won't pay for a hotel room. If you rent one of those pop-up trailer things where it looks
My parents did that.
like a little box and
Yeah.
then it pops up and it's supposed to be so cute and comfortable. What will happen when you tow it behind your cheap car is that something bad will happen to the car and your transmission will blow out. And if that doesn't happen, the smallest kid will fall out of the trailer and roll down the incline, which is exactly what happened to my sister.
Sweet.
Yeah, she
Not wishing bad things on your sister,
she
but that's pretty
fell
funny.
out. She was young then. She was guileless at that time, and she fell out of the trailer and rolled downhill. And I think somebody heard her screaming and got up and picked her up.
I have so many images, I can't even go there.
But
But yes, my parents did the same thing. They rented one of those pop-up campers to try and fit 6 of us in it. My mom, who was born and bred in New York City
yes,
and not a camper at all,
no, my mother too, city girl.
sa-
Yeah,
sat and watched her stories the whole time in the camper and refused to come out for anything. It was yeah, it only happened once.
yeah,
Never
that was
again.
the one and only Ryder family camping trip. Yes, but they were constantly trying to do things that would normally be sort of luxurious, but they would do them like really cheaply. So they would buy, and we loved locks, and there was no Costco, and locks was really expensive. So they would buy a quarter pound of locks, which is basically the size of a peppermint candy for each person. That's what we would get.
Okay.
And we'd be like, "Where's the rest of it?" And they'd say, "No, no, you're supposed to enjoy what we got." And I'm thinking now as an adult, you're not Zen Buddhists. What is this with enjoy whatever you get? Which is why all my girlfriends are people of abundance. There's not a skinflint among them. I mean, some have more money and some have less. But if they're living on rice and beans, you can have all the rice and beans you want. They don't
Right.
give you like 3 beans and 4 pieces of rice. If that's
Well,
what they're feeding you, you can have seconds or thirds or fourths.
We're also at that age too that, you know, I'm going to eat and do whatever I want because
Yeah.
who knows how much time I have left.
Well, speaking of how much time you have left, I won't
Yeah.
describe the particular ailment, but as you know, and as everyone is about to find out, all three of our listeners,
Ugh.
I ended up in the hospital last week. And since I haven't posted any particulars, nor will I, about whatever it was that got me there, but all I posted to social media was that I was under the weather. What's fascinating is that there are people who say, "I'm sorry, get well." And then there are people who will give you advice without even knowing what's wrong with you.
My advice is I want proof that you're just not going to the hospital to get away from your house there.
There are a lot of
It
people.
seems to be happening pretty often. And maybe the food is really good at that hospital.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
I don't think there is such a thing as good hospital food.
Well, it's better than it used to be. I think the last time I was in the hospital was, decades ago, and the food was really scary. But now you can have food that's slightly less scary.
Are you feeling better?
I'm sort of feeling better. I don't feel
Yeah, sort of isn't all the
100%
way.
better, not 100% better, but I'm out of the hospital, and that makes you feel better no matter what. Like
Yeah.
if you feel really crappy and you're in the hospital feeling crappy, and then they say you're well enough to get out of the hospital, you immediately feel better even if you still feel crappy because you're not in the hospital anymore. People who just are suffering from general malaise should figure out
Yeah.
a reason to get admitted to a hospital for a day or two.
And then you'll feel better.
You feel
fast.
better immediately when they let you out of there.
Well,
So
if you're bored, I can come over. I'll fly out and do my I really need a cigarette dance all over your house.
that won't
It-
work in around
Probably
here.
amusing for you.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't work here either.
yeah. But I'd have lots of things for you to eat. So
It's true.
there would be that. Then here's what I was thinking about, and I think it was the hospital food that made me think about this. They give you some things that are convenience foods, and there are some of those foods that were sort of guilty pleasures for me, like Halloween
Jell-O?
candy would be. No, I did not eat the Jell-O. That I could not manage. I have a Jello story to tell you, though.
Okay.
We have a friend who's a fancy liver doctor at a fancy hospital, and he got several calls that he needed to come in because the patients were throwing up blood. And about the fourth time, it turned out that the patient was throwing up red Jello. He got red Jello banned throughout the whole hospital.
I thought hospitals only serve green Jello.
I actually was given red Jello. I didn't eat it, but it was served to me. Tell you what, I'm never eating again. I ate for the first and last time in the hospital.
What?
I ordered oatmeal.
Okay.
And then I saw on the daily menu that they had something called overnight oats. And I asked the person, because you give your order, call down, assuming you're well enough, and tell them what you'd like, and they say, okay. And I said, what are overnight oats? And she said, well, it's kind of a different kind of oatmeal. And I thought, okay. So I ordered overnight oats.
I'm guessing from your face.
I will never. So I looked it up on my phone once I was conscious enough to do it, because what I got was this little cup. If you have a weak stomach, just turn down the podcast for a second. It was, it's like somebody just blew their nose. It's like somebody blew their nose into a cup.
I thought you were going to say something else, so thank you for saying blew their nose.
It was like mucus in a cup with sugar and some pieces of oats and some cranberries and a lot of sugar and cold. So it was kind of like tapioca pudding, but made with oats and no tapioca. It was gross. I am fine with any kind of texture, but this was just, and here's the thing. You're hungry, right?
Yeah.
So you make yourself eat anything. You can make, if you don't, you're stuck eating like little packages of saltines for another 6 hours.
It's like Locked Up Abroad, where they stick you in like the prison where you're cuffed in a cave and they bring you the bowl that's moving around. I love that show.
I've never seen that show, but I did.
It's on National Geographic.
Okay.
It's always stupid people caught drug smuggling in like Turkey.
But somehow they get to film it for National Geographic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know those are union shoots, and I've said it before and I've said it again. Somewhere there's a camera crew with a lunch truck.
There you go.
And if you put me on Survivor, the first thing I'd do would be bump off the camera people and eat what's in their lunch truck.
Oh, see, I would just eat the camera people.
At the moment, because you're quitting smoking, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you would.
Yes. And people annoy me. Everything annoys me right now. And as soon as we're done, I'm going to go cram like a half a pack of gum in my mouth.
Does that
I'll
help?
be happy. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I'm doing something with my mouth.
So the thing that I can eat that doesn't have a lot of calories that I remember when I was trying one of my nutball diets were cinnamon sticks. You know, the actual stick of cinnamon.
Oh, I have a whole bag of Red Hots. Because those, they're just little dots.
Yeah, but those are sugar things. I'm talking about the actual bark cinnamon stick.
Yeah, see, no, I need the sugar.
Okay.
And I do have those, but the problem is that I cram so many in my mouth that it like burns the heck out of my tongue. My lips all swell up. And everybody's like, what's wrong? And I go, cinnamon dots. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well.
Yes, cinnamon taste does take away my will to smoke. But it's just kind of, I need to eat too. So I'm trying gum. And I have patches. And I have nicotine gum. But boy, that stuff is nasty.
Well, I'm going
really
to
nasty.
Keep careful track of your progress is what I'm going to do.
No, I'm determined. No smokes.
And when we return for the next podcast, I'll tell you what I learned about underwear.
Okay, and I have an underwear story as well.
All right, then.
So let's warn everybody. Next podcast is underwear. Because we're supposed to give warnings now.
Are we?
Because the last podcast, I got a frantic phone call from my eldest child who said, what the heck? You need to put a warning for relatives to turn this stuff off. I said, what do you mean? And she said, because of what Terry said now, all I can do is imagine my parents naked. Like, and she was trying to work. She was listening to us as she delivered mail.
Nobody should try to imagine their parents naked. That should just be the default setting for everyone. Assuming you've come this far because you enjoy the podcast, may we recommend my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air. It's available at your neighborhood bookstore or on Amazon. And if you're feeling especially generous, please leave the podcast a good review. Thanks.